What's up, everyone? It's a Monday. It's time for another episode of a Metagame Monday. Today, I have chosen to feature the top 16s out of the two premier events on the weekend. Those were the Super Qualifier on Saturday and the Showcase Challenge on Sunday. Um, of course, there were also 5 legacy challenges during the week. But yeah, I'm not going to feature those today. I think the premier tournaments are slightly more interesting. Especially because there was a new, somewhat of a breakout deck here. So let's start by talking about that. The winner of the Super Qualifier was a Pinnacle Emissary Kappa Cannoneer fueled artifact deck. Essentially mono blue, aside from casting this card, where you're using all of the baubles, all of the mana accelerations, you're in Urza Saga, Ancient Tomb deck, and then you use it to essentially power out creatures. So you get Pinnacle Emissary, you get the 3/4 Affinity creature, you get Patchwork Automaton, and you get Kappa Cannoneer. And then we have Emery for a little bit of grind mode. I really like the look of that deck. I think it looked very well built. Especially because we're not really messing around. We're actually trying to kill the opponent. Something that I really, really liked about the deck was its ability to dodge a bunch of removal spells. Like imagine you have like Lightning Bolt or Fatal Push against Kappa Cannoneer or the 3/4 5-drop. That's going to end very poorly. So also the deck dodges Meltdown. The deck is very good against Consign. I think the deck was just very, very well built, and obviously took home the tournament, so can't be that bad either. That did sprinkle onto the next premier event, so we end up with actually a quite, let's say, a little bit of a dominating showing here with 5 top finishes in these 2 top 16s, including 3 top 8s and a win. So that's pretty sweet. Red Tempo, basically picking up where it left off, still keeps being the most successful tempo deck. I think that's a little bit surprising. But Eternal Weekend US really gave hope to the archetype. It's the most, let's say, storied color combination when it comes to pure tempo. So that's one thing, right? The story around that. Of course, Seal Cutter is an awesome card. People have found builds to include both Delver and that card. I think that's very important for the deck's win rate. You need to close down games early and often. And another reason why I think the red version is favored over the black version, aside from being, the more storied color combination when it comes to pure tempo, is the fact that when people put Underground Sea in their deck, a lot of people ask themselves, why am I not just playing Reanimator if I'm putting Underground Sea in my deck? So there's a little bit of, I guess, some psychological aspect to that, alongside the legacy, no pun intended. So yeah, this deck keeps getting the nod as the premier tempo deck, and it's delivering, so can't be that bad, right? Speaking about Reanimator had a very stellar weekend. We see 4 copies placed in the top 8 and 4 in the top 16. That is a nice round number. 25% of all of these both of these top 16s are Reanimator. Reanimator continues to crush. I think the deck has reached its final form with Voidwalkers and Barrogoyfs as the plan B. And I thought a little bit about this, but in the past, where when a deck reaches its final form and still, still doing well, it's probably not long for this world, but I guess we will see soon. Of other top 8 decks, we have some different ones here. We had a very sweet Nadu deck powered by Fiend Artisan, so essentially cutting Court of Calling, adding Fiend Artisan, which I really liked. I think that was a very good innovation. Copy of Mardu Energy did well. I think a second place in one of these big tournaments. Couple of copies of Mystic Forge in these top 16s. 1 top 8, 1 top 16. Little bit of Doomsday action here. So I guess we will just put the combo decks over here. They both top 8'd. 2 different Dark Ritual combo decks. Song of Creation, essentially just to besiege the mirror target for when Gaia's Will is not lethal. And then Doomsday, which I remember at Eternal Weekend US, Doomsday was pretty cool. There's the version which sideboarded into Doomsday. I think that was kind of cool. You dodge some stuff. They have some consigns, you don't care. They have some negations, you don't care. They have some surgicals, you don't care. That kind of stuff. You can really sidestep the opponent. I love that aspect. I think that's very cool. So the creature pile is pretty big here. So aside from the deck we already covered, we have had a couple of breakfast decks. Funnily enough, breakfast was the deck that took me out of the tournament on Sunday. I had some decent games against them and some not so decent games, and they prevailed and eliminated me. I went 0-2, double breakfast. That was pretty. I always it's actually my favorite legacy deck to play against because there's so much sub game going on when it comes to who's the beatdown. Am I supposed to limit my opponent's draw steps, or am I supposed to hold up mana and hold up interaction? I remember some key moments where I had a Sheldred's Edict, and I could choose between holding up that or developing another Nether Goyf out of my Dimir Tempo deck. Stuff like that is just, I think it's awesome gameplay. Then we had a single copy of Death and Taxes, fan favorite deck. 1 out of 40, 1 out of 32 makes a lot of sense. That's kind of the average for that deck. Couple of Lance decks. Lance were somewhat back. Lance has been struggling a bit the last month or so after at some point being seen as one of the best decks in Legacy. It died down a little bit. But yeah, maybe Sprouts needs to play some more so he can put some hope into people. The Ancient Tomb pile here of 1 Eldrazi, 1 Red Stompy. I think that's a little bit worrying that we have both of these at such a low number, but I guess the fact that the artifact deck has showed his ugly face is the reason for that. There's a lot of overlap here between, Ancient Tomb gamers. So I thought I wanted to talk a little bit more about this deck, because if you want to beat this deck, you need stuff like Swords to Plowshares that actually kills big stuff. You need Pyroblast to Pyroblast this card and Kappa Cannoneer on the stack, or Emery for that matter. Dare I say it, Supreme Verdict is incredible against this deck. Just a little bit of unconventional stuff is going to be great against this deck. And that stuff didn't see much play, right? So this deck could essentially just slog its way through a lot of unprepared opponents. And the bad matchups for a deck like this is, these combo decks, essentially. So you need to, make up for it with a bunch of sideboarded fortune negations. I think the deck should probably have more than the 2. But I guess that's a conversation for another day. I think that it's awesome to have this deck. Also, it doesn't play Tameo, right? No reserve list cards, I even read. Like, that deck's just amazing, and if it keeps up these numbers, we have to address it, and maybe that's what puts Red Tempo over the hump as a good choice. Who knows? I think it's very, very exciting to follow this leading up to Eternal Weekend. But yeah, as I said, I'm not covering the challenges this weekend, so who knows? Maybe those show totally different numbers, and the metagame is obviously more nuanced than this. I care about the top finishes, so that's what I'm gonna feature here, and figure 2 top 16s out of a 225, 250, that kind of number. That's a big tournament. So any deck that did well here is certainly capable. So as we can see, we have Graveyard represented, we have Tempo represented, Pure Combo, Creature Strategies, lands. I know the Pox deck also did well in the challenges, and then we have classic Chalice of the Void Stompy represented. So Legacy, in my opinion, looks super healthy. You can win with whatever strategy you desire, whether you like attacking with creatures, locking down the opponent, comboing them out, or a combination. So Legacy looks to be in a good spot going into Eternal Weekend EU, which is around a month away here, and yeah, that's gonna be awesome. But yeah, it looks like we have to play a lot of removal spells, and it looks like our life total is not safe with all of these aggressive decks, including Corey Delver. So I guess don't take too much damage on your thought seizes, and yeah, keep grinding. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you back next Monday.